Moving into the shelter changed the trajectory of my life. I never saw myself being in this situation where I would be living in a shelter, to be 100% honest. Honestly, I think most people don't see themselves living in a shelter. That's not always what you want to happen. That's not something you plan out, right? So being here has taught me so much, and I wanted to share that with anyone who is currently going through something hard, because I think sometimes when things are happening in our life and it's not so pleasant and we have to make tough choices, we can get scared, we can get fearful, we can want to run away, we can want to put ourselves in just in a space, having different vices to forget about what's going on. And honestly, the best thing you could do is face it and go through it. The only way to get through something is to go through it. Hi, my name is Joy. If you're new, I create lifestyle content focused on becoming a better version of yourself while having fun along the way. I am in New York City. I am currently in my final year of school. I'm studying psychology. I have a 2-year-old. I've been juggling school, work, taking care of her, creating this YouTube channel, and living in a shelter. And it has taught me so much. It has forced me to look within myself. It has made me to look to God. It has pushed me to become a better version. And honestly, I'm super grateful for this time, because man, when life hits you, life hits you. If you're new, I made a video sharing a little bit about what led me here, so you could definitely check that out. To those OGs who's been rocking with me, thank you so much. I just really wanted to share my thoughts right now of just this whole entire chapter that I've been in. It's definitely been something very hard. For one, it has taught me I can do hard things. I say that because a lot of times we can honestly underestimate ourselves. We can feel like we are not that person that can persist, that can do hard things, that can, go step out on faith, that can take risks, that can bet on yourself. Oftentimes we will encourage other people, but the encouragement for ourselves, we tend to lack on, we tend to slack, we tend to be harder on ourselves. And I always wondered why, right? Why are you so willing to give encouragement to other people, but you don't believe in yourself? And being here taught me the importance of pouring into me and believing in who I am and betting on myself. This year has taught me, and I'm saying year as in since I've been here, because it's been a year and a half, I believe. It has taught me so much of what it means to pour into myself. I started reading again. I started buying flowers for myself. I started going on solo dates. I started taking care of my body again. It forced me to create an environment where I was pushing and moving forward. Even though I'm not where I want to be, I needed to practice the habits that I want to instill myself in the places that I'm going. A lot of times we tend to make the environment take over who we are and our decisions. It's very easy for me to be in a predicament like this and to basically say, freak it, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to take care of myself. I'm not going to show up. But I needed to show up, because how can I expect God to bless me with more if I'm not even being a good steward with what I have right now? It doesn't matter what it looks like. Being a good steward in the right now is what's going to prepare me for the latter. It's what's going to prepare me for the next thing, right? A lot of times we can take for granted the little things. We can take for granted, saying, having a park next to your house, never going outside for a walk, right? Like, we can not take advantage of the fact that we are back in with our parents and we can save now. A lot of times we look at it as a crutch, as something that is not great, like it's holding us back, but really it's helping us to get a better foundation. And I feel like me being in the shelter really helped me to get a stronger foundation in who I am, in my faith, and the person I'm becoming, because I'm no longer that girl, right? I'm no longer that girl that was in that toxic environment, was in these past situations. I grew from that. Being here forced me to do that. So I just want to remind you, even if you're in a situation that's not us pleasing, you have to change your perspective. You have to go in with a mindset that you're not going to be here forever, right? So what can you do now to help you find positivity, to strengthen you, to build your faith. It's so important that you don't allow yourself to become what you're going through, right? Especially if it's negative. Being here, I told myself, you're going to wake up on time, you're going to keep focusing in on school, you're going to work out. And it took a while, right? Like, a lot of times we feel like things are just going to happen right away. Like, no, it takes steps. Some days you may not wake up at the same time every time. Some days you will, you know. Some days you'll go for your walk, hit your 10K steps, and some days you don't. It's not about the days you don't do it. It's about the days you keep doing it even when you don't want to. And I very much learned that lesson being here. Like, I've increased my steps. I've increased my ability to just do things even when I don't feel like it. I've increased my faith, and I'm going to keep saying that, because the one thing I can say that this year taught me was to be grateful. To be grateful for everything, right? Like, although I'm homeless, I have a place to lay my head. Although I was homeless, I was able to go to school. Although I was homeless, I was provided a gym because of my school. Although I was homeless, my daughter was able to get to go to a school, to be educated, to have people who cared about her, to help me during my times of need. Although I was homeless, I was able to walk every single day because I lived near Central Park. That is a blessing. We have to count the little things. Like, it's so important to be grateful, because anything can be taken away from you. It's not just house. Anything can be taken away from you. And that's the biggest thing I feel like really engraved in me being here. Just being happy that I'm alive and I get to see another day. I get to try again. And it's so important that we really value that, really value the trying again, really valuing the waking up and getting another chance, you know. Like, don't take for granted the things that you're in, because it will seem hard. I'm not gonna lie, there's been some days where I just bawled out, cried in the bathroom. I just wanted to give up because it felt so hard. It felt so hard. And this was a time where I lost so many people in my life. So many people didn't even know what I was going through. So many people I fell out of. Just times where I just wanted to be by myself. Like, I didn't want to talk to anybody. But even in that, people who were close to me showed up, right? People I didn't expect. Meeting new people who just wasn't even about the closeness, but just had given me a safe space to be myself and for us to have fun. Finding fun again, even in this space, was a breath of fresh air. Finding fun. And it was because I chose to fight. I chose to fight even while being here. I chose to pour into myself. I chose to take myself out on dates. I was budgeting. I was making sure I wasn't spending way more than I needed to, right? Because being in here means that I am on food stamps. I am on cash assistance. Like, I have a certain amount of money, right? But I can't go spending willy-nilly. So how am I preparing myself? How am I budgeting myself? All of these things played a factor within my time being here. So I really had to learn how to start all over. And it was something that I didn't expect. But being here changed my mindset. It changed the way I thought about people. It changed the way I saw myself. It changed the way I purchased things. It changed the way I put value in certain things. Like, it really changed me for the better. And I'm so grateful. So grateful. Like, it's strange, because you wouldn't think the things that seem hard and negative and bad would change you and make you like become more positive, but it really does. And it makes me think about the Bible, how the Bible talks about God corrects those he loves, and like, we have to go through the hard thing. And like, the specific chapter that talks about, there are gonna be seasons where it's great, there's gonna be seasons where it's bad, there's gonna be seasons where there's things build. Like, there's always going to be that type of season. And it really is about your perspective. It really is about how you see things. How are you looking at the things that are happening in your life? And what are you going to do about it? When I got here, I cried because I felt safe. It was weird being here, but I felt safe. I felt safe, and that's all I cared about at the moment. And then as I was going through it, I felt so many different emotions. I was happy 1 minute, sad 1 minute, happy 1 minute, but I went through it, and I'm getting through it, and I got through it. And it's one of those things where you won't know till you do it. There's so many people that I've encouraged to even go into the system because they didn't have nowhere to go, and I see that as me paying it forward, because one of my closest friends, who's been my rock throughout this whole process, he went through that process. He went into the shelter system because he had nowhere to go, and he had to figure it out, and he now lives in a beautiful building, and that building, his apartment, has been a safety for me so many times, a place where I could go and just release everything and anything, and he encouraged me to do this. So that's why I say do the hard thing, no matter what your hard thing is, whether it's to get the job you don't like, whether it's to go into the system, to shelter system, to apply for food stamps, to apply for WIC, to move back in with your parents, like do whatever it is. Because the one thing I realized throughout this whole journey is everything is temporary. Every single chapter that you go through in life is not forever. You're gonna have to turn the page. You're gonna have to turn the page to get to the next page, to get to the next thing. So even though it seems very, very long, because being here seemed very, very long, it's not going to be forever. But also what you do in this time matters. Your perspective, your actions, how you treat people, how you treat yourself matters. So it's so important that you allow yourself to go through it and allow yourself to be pruned, because that's what's going to happen. It's a pruning season. You're going to be shedding so much, but it's needed for the journey, for the destiny, for the platform that you have in the future. My experience taught me to not give up on myself. My experience taught me to not give up on people, to allow people to show you who they are, and be okay if it's not something you like, and be okay if you have to let them go, and be okay if it was just for that moment and you were shown that situation for a reason, right? Sometimes we like to hold on to people, and not everybody is meant to be held on to. I had to learn that too. And although sometimes it's very hard, a lot of us go through the people pleasing and the attachment issues and all of that. And just by studying psychology, I understand how real it is, but it's so important to understand your own personal triggers and to learn how to combat it, learn how to get yourself back into a safe space, get yourself back into a calm place so that you can make rational decisions and decisions that are filled with faith and hope. Because you never want to do anything from a negative place, and you never want to do something just because you think a bad outcome is going to happen. Being here has truly changed my life. Being here has helped me to see things clearly. Being here has made me want more. Being here has made me really understand what living is about, really understand what life is about. And I'm going to continue to learn. I'm going to continue to progress, but I don't want to forget how important this chapter was. I want to remember this chapter as the chapter that changed who I am for the better. Every chapter in your life changes, but there's always a pinpoint, right? There's always one point in your life that really just flips things 360, and I feel like this has been a part of that. Of course, there's more than one. There's always more than one, but this has definitely been one for the books. And I encourage anybody who's going through something hard, especially if it comes to living situation, you don't have housing or whatever like that, I do encourage you to try the shelter system. Every situation is different, every state is different, but getting through it is one decision you're not going to regret. It's one decision that will allow you to set yourself up for the better, and it's all about how you utilize it. I will say that you play a role in your destiny as well. You have free will, so it's your choice whether to show up or not to show up for yourself. And I do hope that even after you watch this video, you decide for yourself that you need to show up for yourself and do what you have to do, even if it's the hard thing. I'm going through so much emotions right now. It's like school, and just seeing me do it even in this situation, it's like, wow, bro, wow. We're about to enter a new chapter.